Now we're going to talk about guest recognition, and this module here is probably not always looked at in smaller properties. Larger properties tend to look at this. It's the smaller, independent, medium-sized ones that tend to don't have the time or resource to focus on this. But I think it's worth covering off here today and giving you some insight as to what you could and should be doing around guest recognition. And if you think about it, if you're we're creatures of habit. We like to go to the same place. When we find something good, we like to go there again. And we also don't mind being, given a pat on the back for showing some loyalty to something, because loyalty in today's environment is, people will say loyalty no longer exists. So I think there's an intrinsic value here that, by giving people a bit of a pat on the back around being loyal can bode well for people sticking with you a little bit longer. We do like to change, we do like to try things new, but there is a loyalty factor at play here. So the first thing I want to cover off on here is around database management. So I know later in the modules we're going to be talking about crunching the numbers and being, the numbers don't lie and all that sort of stuff, and we talk about all that database sort of stuff. But the stuff I'm talking about later is really numbers driven. This is more about customer driven. And even in the next module, I'll be talking about a business database that you'll be building to chase down the corporate market. But this is separate again. So I'm talking about more of a broader database. And if you're using a PMS, you already have a database. All the guests that book into your property, that's your database. And you can easily pull reports off most PMSs to see what that list is. And data integrity, which we'll talk about in the next module, is so important here. So if all you're ever capturing is first name, last name, email and phone, well look, that's better than nothing, but it'd be preferable if you've got other things. Even if you just got a postcode is really valuable. Their address would be great because you could do future mail outs with them. The other things you can start to capture is obviously some of their preferences. Like some of the hotels and the bigger brands have programs where you're actually able to go into your own profile and self-select all these things that you like. So that's sort of the extension of it all, of running a really nice guest database. But in basic principle, you need to make sure you've got some reasonable data going in for the purpose of getting back in touch with them at some point. And that's the next point, where I then encourage hotels to set up some form of communication schedule. Now, your communication schedule may be as simple as this. It may be like, okay, we're going to send out one email to the entire database once a quarter, just to stay top of mind. Hi, welcome to autumn. Here's our specials for autumn. Or, hi, thanks for staying with us in the past. We'd love to have you back sometime. Get creative with whatever you want to do, but the communication schedule might be as simple as that, just to stay top of mind. Put a coupon, a discount code in, all sorts of things you could do. But I think you need to stay in touch. If we're using the 80-20 principle, and you talk about any business coaching environment, they talk about look to your existing customers first to get more business, rather than chasing new business all the time. Your database is your existing customers. What more business, what more revenue can we get out of the existing client base? Simply by being in communication with them. And if you've got the right information in your database, you could be doing mail outs, you could be doing emails. And it's a great way to just tickle up some of that business when we're talking about particularly about the leisure market, I feel. Trying to be top of mind. So that's sort of I guess one area around this guest recognition thing. So you do have a database, you do have people that are coming back time and time again. So within that, when it comes to the actual guest recognition, I'd encourage you to set up a structure or some sort of rewards program. Now, I'm not talking a fancy swipe card, some sort of point system, anything like that. I think the point systems are almost done and dusted anyway. But something more personalised. And what I've seen done in the past is different properties where for every 5th stay, as an example, for every 5th stay at the property, they recognise the guests. And they try and do it with something personal. They get to know the guest, and they know that they like red wine, or they like Krispy Kreme donuts, whatever it is, and they actually put a little gift in there on arrival in their room on their 5th stay, on their 10th stay, on their 15th stay, and so on and so forth. Now, to be able to do that, obviously you need to be able to look into your records and know when that's coming up. That's fine, you can set up all that reporting, but to have a standard in place that this is how we treat our guests, and I think it starts to breed loyalty. And so that's to me, is the main point around this section here today, is that have your database, have your communication schedule. With that database, start to track who loves you, and make sure you love them back. And the extension of that is, you can start to introduce things like referral programs as well. So if guests love you, they're probably inclined to refer you to other friends, and maybe there's some sort of incentive you can put in front of those regulars and in front of your database, your whole guest list, so to speak. Maybe there's something you can put in front of them to refer on to others, where send a friend and we'll give you a free room night, or send a friend, we'll give you 20% off. Whatever you decide, what works for your property. But there's just another little idea you can tag onto the back of, I guess, a guest recognition program by more closely monitoring and communicating with your larger guest list.